What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. If you guys are not subscribed, make sure you guys subscribe, hit the bell for notifications, and make sure you always give the videos a big thumbs up and commenting on my videos. Alright, so I did a video yesterday on the 80s cartoons. I had to re-upload it because it wasn't allowing me to show like the pictures of the cartoons. It was drawing a blank on my screen, and you could hear me talking, but you couldn't see anything. And I don't know if it was because I showed the pictures of the cartoons or whatever it was. So if you see me going like this and there's nothing there in the new video, then you know why. So this one is going to be almost the same, but it's going to be 1980s TV shows. Okay, I don't have as many as I did the cartoons, but it's still going to be a great video because if you grew up watching these shows, you could relate. Alright, so the first one is, and this is in no particular order, I just kind of wrote them down. And I did write down the dates that they ran to. Some were longer than others, and some was just like 1 year. So, just bear with me. Alright, so the first one is Roseanne. Roseanne ran from 1988 to 1997. I like this show. Roseanne is so funny. Like the whole cast like had their funniness and then their seriousness and that. But I always liked watching the Roseanne show because it kind of like described the typical family. You know, they're always at each other's throat, or they're always arguing with each other, or the two sisters or the sister and brother are arguing, and you know, like it was funny. So they had that show, and then they ended up when they stopped that show, not that long after, I don't even know exactly when it was, but they came out with the show The Conners, which were basically them older. And it was kind of basically the same kind of show, but it was just them all older, and them, like the kids were all grown with kids. So they didn't live in the house with Roseanne and her husband. Alright, so the second one is Star Trek The Next Generation. It ran from 1987 to 1994. So listen, if I could tell you, I was not a fan of Star Trek, Star Wars, none of them, okay? Not recently, it was probably, I would say like 4 or 5 years ago, I started watching Star Trek just to watch it. I'm like, okay, everybody's like, what's this hype about, you know, Star Trek, the new generation, or next generation, whatever it was. And I'm like laughing, I'm like, this is so, like, come on now. Like, I never watched the old one with Spock. I only watched the new one, with Data and them, and Worf. So, I started watching the first episode, and I was like, okay, this is kind of cool. Then I watched the second one, and the third one, and I got really hooked on it. So it was like, certain shows, just like Beverly Hills 90210. I got into that as well. Alright, so the next one is Miami Vice. That ran from 1984 to 1989. Don Johnson was one of my favorites. As well as like the other actors in the show, but Don Johnson was one of my favorites. I always liked watching him, so I did get to watch some of them. I didn't get to watch all of them, and I believe they have a new one, don't they? Because I think they have. It says a reboot of Miami Vice is in the works at NBC. The reboot is being brought to us by Vin Diesel's production company and Chris Morgan's production. Morgan has been 6 of the first action series. So yeah, they did have the old one. They are totally in the works for a new one now. So look forward to that. It says on here, April 1st, 2024, Miami Vice is coming back. So I don't know when it's actually going to be coming out. If they are filming it, I don't know. But we'll see. Alright, so that was Miami Vice. So Tales from the Crypt is the next one. It ran from 1989 to 1996. That is the funniest character in the world. Like, I love the Crypt Keeper. He is just like, I grew up watching with my mom. I grew up watching like The Outer Limits, Hitchhiker, Tales from the Dark Side, Twilight Zone, like all of them shows, especially Tales from the Crypt. So I typically, like, I would watch it myself because I grew up watching it. So I think that's what got me into being a big Halloween fanatic, because growing up watching all of the scary stuff, I think that's what turned me on to being a big fan of anything horror, anything Halloween. So yeah, if you guys have not watched those, go watch it. It is alright. So the next one is The Diver, 1985 to 1992. I didn't watch it. My dad did watch a couple of the episodes. I don't think he got too into it, but he did watch some of it. But I was never a fan of. Like, they also have like Lady Blue. I didn't really get into that either. But alright, so the next one is Growing Pains, 1985 to 1992. That was with Kirk Cameron. Again, typical family. Like, they have their arguments and they have their jokes and things like that. So it was really a good show to watch. Alright, so the next one is A-Team, 1983 to 1987. Mr. T is like the most awesome person in the world. Like, he, like, everything from his attitude, the way he dresses, and the way like he with Michael J. Fox, which unfortunately he is sick right now. Yeah, hopefully everything is okay with him. But yeah, it didn't run for very, very long, but when it was on air, it was a really good show. And like I said, all of them tie into like the typical family life, and I think that's what their plan was, to draw in attention of people because it was a typical family Twilight Zone. Twilight Zone was from 1985 to 1989. Like I said, I grew up watching that with my mom. I still watch it to this day.